Welcome all of you to Compliance to Go webinar. This is Sarah, and I'm going to be your host today for the topic Human Error Investigation, Root Cause Determination, and CAPA Effectiveness. Thank you all for making it today for this webinar. Welcome, Janet, to Compliance to Go. I would now request you to take it from here. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Janet Colasso, and I'll be presenting today the topic of regarding human error reduction and CAPA effectiveness. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about not only the situations regarding human error investigation, but also we're going to talk about some tools and things that we can use to put it into practice. Okay, there's certain theory that we have to discuss, but on the other hand, we will provide you with some tools that we can use to start the process. All right, so first of all, I would like to start by talking a little bit about the regulation. I selected the Subpart B, Organizational Personnel, Section 211.22, which is the responsibilities of quality units. I just wanted to mention that even though this is for finished products, these regulations expectations are pretty much general to all GMP regulated environments regarding regardless of medical device, food, or other type of cosmetics and all of that. So, but I wanted to show you this one because this is one of the one that really explains the expectations in terms of what human error investigation and human error deviations handling should be managed. Okay, so first of all, this is 211.22, and this is what it says. I'm not going to go through all of the details, but I will emphasize in one portion right here where it says that the quality unit has the responsibility and the authority to review production records to assure that no errors have occurred, and if errors have occurred, that they have been fully investigated. Okay, I wanted to emphasize on this part over here of the regulation because there is something very important that is transpiring from this statement. Basically, it says that quality has to make sure that no errors have occurred, and if errors have occurred, they have to be fully investigated. Fully investigated means that you have to find out, or you have to find the root cause of the human error. So, if the agency is telling me that I have to fully investigate errors, is because errors by itself is not a root cause. I wanted to start with that because most of the times we think that human error is a root cause, and human error is not a root cause. Human error needs to be fully investigated. That means that we have to find the root cause for the human error. So I think that even though this is stated pretty clear here, sometimes there are some questions regarding the depth of analysis when we have a human error deviation. Now, let's take a look at a very interesting thing that we saw a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, which is this is the part of a presentation or in a human error reduction event. This was a slide from the Irish Medicines Board. This was presented in Ireland. And if you notice, this is slide 63. This means that there were 62 slides in which they were really talking really in depth in terms of the human error issues that they were finding and all of this situation regarding human performance improvement and root cause analysis, and the fact that sometimes we don't really get to the real root cause, and that's the reason why we sometimes, most of the times when we do find the root cause, we won't be able to have effective corrective actions and preventive actions. So what I want to highlight this from this portion here is the last statement here where it says, and for the first time, human error issues are being introduced into Europe GMPs, which means that there has been some revision happening in terms of the European regulation to be very clear in terms of the expectations. And it says, basically, where human error is suspected or identified as the cause of a quality defect, this should be formally justified and care should be exercised so as to ensure that process, procedural, or system-based errors or problems are not overlooked if present. When we compare these to the previous definition, in which it says we have to make sure that no errors have occurred, and if they have occurred, we have to find the root cause. This portion of the regulation in Europe says that we have to find out not only not only says that it needs to be fully investigated, they are a little bit more detailed in their description, which is says you have to formally justify your human error, and care should be exercised to make sure that process, procedural, or system-based errors are not overlooked. Today, in our presentation, we're going to talk about all of these type of errors, the process, procedural, system-based errors, and all of that root causes related to human error deviation. Okay, so let's start from in terms of where this all comes from, okay? All of this starts by looking for information on high reliable organizations. There's this the type of organization, which are the HROs, which have succeeded in avoiding catastrophes in environments where normal accidents can be expected due to risk factors and complexity. These are very similar to chemical plants, nuclear power generation plants, financial, aerospace, refineries, all of these type of industries in which they apply the human error deviation or human error investigation program, not necessarily for a quality-based error, more like a safety-related error, but still they have a very, very good process and very good methodology for doing this. So basically what we did was that we started looking for information in all of these type of industries to evaluate how do they do investigations, how do they come up with a solution. And we have found that they are very, very good in terms of understanding this. Of course, when you have accidents, you have to either fix the blame or fix the problem. And of course, fixing the blame not necessarily is going to help you in terms of solving the problem, which is most of the times what we do. We try to fix the blame instead of fixing the problem, and that's why we're doing this today. So we have learned what works and what does not work in terms of comparing our conditions to other type of industries. What you're going to see today, again, it's a methodology that has been created and has been modified to make sure that we comply with GMP regulations across the world and that we evaluate more quality-based situations instead of safety-related situations. So how is human error controlled? Well, our methodology basically provides you with a distribution or the impact of initiatives. For example, when we work with human error reduction, and today you're going to learn how to do it yourself, we put 80% of our efforts in 80% of our success, which is we control human error, but 80% in systems and 20% by managing acquired behaviors. Okay, so that means that 80% of the success of any human error reduction program relies in the system, which is any aspect of the workplace or job implementation that makes it more likely for the worker to make an error. So today we're going to be focusing on things around the person when we're talking about 80%, and then we're going to talk about the actual individual when we're talking about the 20% of our program. So we focus on systems and then people. We believe people make mistakes because they can, because our systems allow it. So we are going to work on the conditions in which humans work so we can put together conditions that will prevent people from making mistakes. Okay, so what is happening with human error investigation? These are the 5 errors of the human error investigation process. First of all, we have an error, right? We have a human error. So we investigate the technical problem, not the human error. For example, we have a deviation where we exceeded some time or exceeded some speed. When we do the investigation, we evaluate how could that have impacted our batch or our product. But we're not really investigating why did that mistake happen. If I forgot to sign a document or if I get confused on the samples or whatever it is that happens, we evaluate how does that impact or not impact the release of a batch. So we really don't investigate a lot of the human error causes. So human error stays as a root cause, because we haven't done any more investigation, or we haven't really gone into more depth in the investigation. So the real root cause is not identified. And when you don't have the real root cause identified, then the wrong problem is addressed, and that leads to ineffective immediate action, corrective actions, and preventive actions. So one of the things that and then of course that creates another situation, which is basically the recurrence of the mistake. So we want to make sure that we ask ourselves why. Why did the human error occur? And that's what we're going to be doing. So root cause analysis for human error events is mostly inexistent. We really stop at the human error, and we don't go even further a little bit more in terms of